lunch. Here we are. We're coming at you live.
Sabina.
And today is the 23rd of February, 2012. Sandra. It's 2012.
The magical year.
There's so much going to happen this year. It's insane.
I know. Actually, I think there's a lot already happening. Look at the weather.
You know what's... No, let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
Here's what I know about the weather.
Okay.
Okay? Because it's warmer here in Toronto than normal, right?
Way warmer.
Yeah. And you know how much snow they're getting in Eastern Europe, right?
Yes.
Okay, so here's what happened. Plus, okay, so what happened was the sun rose 2 days early in Greenland this year.
Seriously?
Yeah, at the Arctic Circle, you know, because it came back 2 days early. So somebody figured out that the whole world has shifted about 80 miles south. We're 80 miles further south than we were last year.
No way.
Yeah.
Is that why it's warmer?
That's why it's warmer.
Okay, are we going to continue to go south? So we're going to be Florida?
Then, okay, and Michelle, you can chime in. Michelle is our first guest. He's here.
Okay.
We're going to
Hey,
talk
Michelle.
about
Hi.
we're going to talk about 2012 and money system. But here's the other thing. So somebody,
Sabina.
and it's a channeler that I saw on YouTube. So you know it's true, right? Okay.
Absolutely.
They had a waking dream that the new South Pole is Cape Town, South Africa, will be the new South Pole, which means that, and the new North Pole is going to be between the Aleutian Islands and the Bering Strait
And when does this happen?
this year.
Okay, that's the 2012.
December
So does
21st.
that really mean, is that the pole shift?
That's the pole shift. So here's what's going to happen.
Okay.
First of all, we are going to be not too much different here in Toronto, okay? But Newfoundland will have the best climate in North America.
Okay, we're all moving to Newfoundland. That's it.
And Western
I
Canada...
thought it was Western. I thought BC.
No, they're going to be like closer to the pole. It's going to be very bad in BC.
Oh,
You've
I'm not
had
going
good
to
weather for
BC.
long enough now. Now it's our turn.
Oh, my brother wants to move to BC.
Well, he better do it before December 21st, and then he's going to have to move away again unless he wants to live in frozen Arctic.
No, he doesn't. No.
Okay.
Being from Sudbury, we already feel like we live in the frozen.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of Sudbury, this is so crazy. We have Michel Emond here,
Yeah, Sabina.
and you guys,
Yeah.
just by coincidence, right, Michelle?
Yes.
You guys lived on the same street as Sudbury.
Unbelievable.
Never met her before.
You know, it's
And you know-
5 houses down,
Yes.
and I don't even know you.
I know.
We think this only
Funny.
happens in the big city, but oh my God. But I can certainly tell your French accent, though. That's a Sudburyan French accent.
Yes. But you know what?
And a big family, typical Sudbury, big
I thought
family.
for sure I never had an accent. Until today, I realized I have one again.
Well,
Oh, yeah, you do.
Yeah, okay.
But what are the chances of living on the same street?
no, that is so crazy.
That is so weird.
Yeah.
Yes.
So weird.
It's another That Channel miracle.
It
Well,
is.
listen,
It's
we
That Channel
we better
miracle.
get busy with Michelle here, but also before we do that, just to let people know what else we got coming on the show.
Okay.
We've got Rob Canyon coming in, Captain Revenue.
Captain Revenue.
I think he's wearing his superhero costume, Sandra.
Wow.
So
Let me guess, red and white?
I don't know. We're gonna
Maybe
find
it's
out.
green.
Might be green. Could be anything. You know, each
Could be black.
superhero chooses their own color scheme, right? Just like each NHL hockey team.
I wonder if he has the muscles.
Well,
No
we're gonna-
pressure, no pressure.
All right. Also, we got Parth Doshi coming on, talking about Gandhi and the power to change the world. See, another That Channel miracle,
Wow.
right?
Love that.
And he's here from Boston,
wow.
which will have a slightly improved climate as well after the pole shift.
You know
Right.
what? You're going to have to send emails to everybody just to let everyone know what's going to be the
Oh.
temperature, what's going to be bad. What's
Right.
Ecuador going to be?
Ecuador, not much different,
Okay.
right? But maybe they won't be on the equator anymore. That's why they call it Ecuador, because it's on the equator,
Okay, so
right?
you know so much.
Right. But now the equator will be shifted a little further north
Okay.
and on an angle. So, but Boston, be careful, because when the pole shift happens, there's going to be a giant tidal wave. The oceans are going to slosh around.
Very close to Newfoundland, too.
Well, but you got to go high. You got to go 600 feet elevation
Follow
to
the
stay away from the
animals.
tidal waves. The closer you are to the equator, the worse the tidal waves are going to be.
Okay, so follow the animals. right?
Pay attention. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they knew what was happening when those tidal waves hit.
Absolutely.
Okay. Also, Steve Cameron will be here. Steve Cameron is from the Hockey Hall, or not from the Hockey Hall of Fame, but he's a hockey writer. He's written this book right here,
Wow.
Hockey Hall of Fame Treasures. And he's going to be here and talk about the book. And I was at the Hockey Hall of Fame. That's where I met him a couple weeks ago. And my cousin was the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs last time they won the Stanley Cup.
What?
Absolutely.
What's your cousin's name?
George Armstrong.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
I should know this, shouldn't I?
Yeah. And Philip
failed.
Ames also is coming in later today. Philip is talking about isolation. A lot of people working from home.
Well,
they get
that's what that
isolated,
means.
and he's doing a workshop on that, so he's going to be
Isolation
in
works. So
later
this
in
is
the
about
show.
not feeling too isolated.
Exactly.
That's a real problem, actually.
It apparently can be for some people. Okay, Michelle. We got Michelle here on the show right now, and Michelle, we've had you here before. What are we talking about? We're talking about, we know there's a problem with the global financial system, right? And you're
Yes.
trying to do something about it.
I think I got it figured out.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Somebody's got to figure it out.
Yeah. And the math adds up.
Okay, so
The
tell
math,
us what
okay.
what you've got figured out and how we can make things better.
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank thatchannel.com for the opportunity to speak freely. And hi, Sandra.
Hi.
I definitely want to start with how we can eliminate all debts worldwide, and then proceed with the class action suit against the World Bank.
Okay.
Wow.
There's only one way to stop wars and poverty, and that is to put the World Bank out of business, including the bondholders. I found a way that every country can repay what they owe to the World Bank and other financial institutions like this, and including the market and the bondholders. I mean, what bank doesn't want to get repaid in full anyways?
Right.
Absolutely.
So it can be done in 1 year, and I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You go ahead with the first document. The Canadian government borrowed $600 billion in bonds in 2011. And they do this because they say that all countries are broke, and that's how most governments do this now. They borrow.
They
the
borrow
World
from
Bank.
private bankers or,
Or
private,
bondholders
and they
or
pay
the
interest
market.
on it instead of borrowing from the Bank of Canada at zero interest, which they could do and which they are allowed by law to do.
Exactly. And
Okay.
now I found a way to create a debt-free society. The federal government just borrowed $600 billion, and there's also on December 11th there were 15 European countries that are now on credit watch, and the World Bank and IMF just can't wait to lend the money and collect the interest, and that's the way that's going to go.
Right.
Well, there is 142 organizations that says that the World Bank is unfit to manage this World Global Fund, and so there's all kinds. The World Bank seems to be popping up a lot here
Okay.
and there, and the World Bank's mission to reduce poverty is in question.
It's not working.
It's in question.
Right.
The government's call mission to reduce the debt is in question too. Also, the bondholders in the market, they're very interested in collecting the interest and not really interested in getting repaid in full.
Yeah. Okay.
If governments depend on the market and cannot control any situation concerning the economies, we have to find our own solutions.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of owing hundreds of billions of dollars, we can now keep hundreds of billions of dollars. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do this
Okay.
right now. So you can go ahead with, also, as of today, February 23rd, I subpoena the World Bank president in the shareholders and directors of the International World Bank. The letter clearly says that this decision will be reconsidered if new facts and evidence provide a reasonable basis that there is a crime within the jurisdiction of the court. This is the letter that I received from the International Criminal Court. So as of today, will be subpoenaed the World Bank.
So you're allowed to do that
at the
according to the
International
World Court.
At the International Criminal Court as of today.
Okay, so they gave you permission to go ahead and subpoena them?
Yes, and this is the letter that she had in front
That's
of the New Street Channel. So right now, we're definitely going to go ahead with document 2, Claudia, document 2. So, as mentioned, I found a way to repay all debts in full to the World Bank and other financial institutions like this. First of all, we need an idea.
An idea?
A new fresh idea, something that's never been done, and we're going to put this idea proposal to a worldwide vote.
Okay. What's the idea? Do we know yet?
I'm coming to that right now.
Okay.
First of all, we need some kind of rules to to this proposal.
Okay.
That everybody agrees with.
All right.
All 252 countries.
Okay.
And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to demonstrate how we're going to do this.
Okay.
One of the rules is we're going to create a 13th month in 2013 or 2014. The first 12 months will have 28 days. The 13th month will have 29 days. And this comes up to 365 days. And on the 13th month, during the first 12 months of the 2013, banks, Visa, mortgages will be paid the regular 12 times, but on the 13th month of 2013 belongs to all citizens on the planet. On this 13th month, we're going to collect all tax revenues from all 252 countries, and we're going to deposit it into a certain account for 30 days.
Yeah.
During the first day of the 13th month, until the last day of the 13th month, we collect all tax revenues and all resources. I'll give you an idea of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, let's just go through this plan because I want to really understand it.
So this is what we're going to do. On the 13th month, this is exactly what we're going to do. What we need to, on the 13th month of 2013, we collect all tax revenues from all 252 countries. On the last day of the 13th month, at this point, 30 days later, we take this money out and we eliminate 20, 30 countries' debts overnight.
What? With
days.
the interest or
No.
what?
With the money we've collected.
The money that all governments collect during a single month, as they usually do.
Yeah.
As they usually
Okay,
do.
I see what you're doing.
But on this 13th month, it belongs to all citizens.
Okay.
And so everything that all
Like
the
it's a world
tax-
fund. It's basically a world fund.
Well, all 252 countries, they pay tax to the government every 2 weeks in one single year, every month. But on the 13th month, there is going to be belongs to the citizens of the planet.
Are people still paying their tax
Of course they are, but we're going to take that money
for 1 month?
for 1 month and we're going to deposit it into a certain
And
account.
instead of it going to the government of Canada, it's going to go to this.
World Fund.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's including England, France,
Sure.
Germany,
Yeah.
you name it.
So at the end of the month, then the money is withdrawn.
Yes. Now,
Is there interest now earned on that money?
I'm going to come to that right
Okay.
now. At the end of this 30 days, we take the money out and we eliminate 20, 30 countries' debts overnight. Let's say every country's owe $1 trillion. So at the end of the 30 days,
You just take that money and you pay off the debts for those
overnight,
countries.
just
Okay.
like that.
Sure.
They owe nothing the next day.
Uh-huh.
In return, those 20, 30, 40 debt-free countries will deposit 75% of all their revenues the following year, starting in 2014. And at the end of every month, there will be another 20, 30 country debt that can be eliminated every 30 days, starting in 2014.
So you do it every year? You have
Every
an
month.
X?
On the 13th month,
Yeah.
Okay.
on the last one in 2013, they collect all tax revenues worldwide.
Yeah.
It comes up to 30 to 40 trillion dollars. We take that money, we pay off 30
Sure.
countries' debt.
So how many years will this take to get everybody clear?
6 to 7 months only.
So 6 to 7 years.
6, 7 months only.
But how you
If
only
you
are
do
able to
1
do
month a
30
year.
or 40
No,
countries
let me-
after the one?
I'm not finished there.
Okay.
So, in return, these 20, 30 now debt-free countries will deposit 75% of all their revenues at the end of the month since they are now debt free, they take that money and they pay another 20 countries' debts off the following month. In the following month, the second month of 2014, there'll be 50 or 60, 70 countries that will be debt free.
Okay.
And they take all that money, and then at the end of every month, they can eliminate another 20, 30 countries' debts every month starting to 2014. In the math adds up. And there are other sources of revenues that we can take on this 13 month. There are trillions of dollars that the government collects in hydro payments.
Yeah.
And there's tons of money here that's
don't-
that is available.
Are you sure? Because, like, in Ontario alone, every time they build a nuclear power plant, it ends up costing 5 times more than they say it's
Well,
gonna.
I'll give you an example. Let's say
It's
you
'cause they're
pay, you
putting
have
a
a
lot in
hydro
their
bill.
pocket.
You do have a hydro bill for this office, right? That comes in every month.
Oh, yes, of course.
So that money on the 13 months, everybody that has a hydro bill on that 13 month doesn't belong to the government, belongs to the citizens. All revenues in this 13 month belongs to the citizens of the planet. So we can take that money from all hydro, that instead of paying it to the government, we put it in the pool. This comes up to an extra 10, 20, 40 trillion dollars that we can use at the same time. And there are other things we can do to the tax revenues that they collect, for one thing, is can be put in the pool. There's the hydro, and according to my spy page on my website, on my Ustream channel, there's a lot of people who actually think that this adds up. And I got a lot of emails.
It seems like with this plan, it seems like you could actually do an analysis and you could actually test it mathematically
Yeah.
whether it would work or not. And there's issues. I'm just trying to, I'm trying to
I understand.
understand it, and I'm
Make
trying
it
to say,
real.
like, for example,
Yes.
a lot of the power companies now are being privatized, right? So those are private companies now, even in Ontario, rather than the government. And even with government, like, they're saying we got to increase our hydro bills to pay. Of course, it's to pay the interest on money they borrowed to build the plants,
Yes.
right? Which is money down the drain, a waste of everything.
Yeah.
It's the interest that's a problem, Michelle. We have to get rid of the interest.
Okay, well, first you have to get rid of the debt.
Yeah.
If there's no debt, there will be no interest. Right off the
True
bat.
enough.
So let's say you owe $20 trillion. There's 20 countries that they all owe $1 trillion. So we have to find a way to come up with $20 trillion that we need to generate a new source of money without interfering anything. And we're going to put this idea to a worldwide vote. And you can go ahead with document number 2, especially with the ballot and the rules,
So-
and the calendar.
If you put this to a worldwide vote, of course, you're going to get, the public is going to want in on that for sure, but the governments,
Yes, and the rules and the
What are
ballot.
we going to call this new month?
The 13 month.
13 is lucky in this case, right?
In
So it's not going
in
to
2013.
be, wow.
Okay.
Okay, but now all the governments are going to have to agree to this.
Now, let's see, I think that most governments might even go ahead for it anyways because Greece, Spain, Portugal, right now, they're losing all
Yeah,
their
they probably-
resources. They're losing their mines, the minerals, to the interest that they owe to the World Bank.
Will this only work if every single country buys in? Like, what if you get 80%?
No, so we just start with the 80%. You know, we somebody has to come up with an idea that, we need a new, fresh idea, something that is possible, and it's not really impossible. What I'm proposing to do, first of all, it's not.
it's doable.
It's not impossible. If the it's unfortunately we don't have a way to show these documents. So that's what Sabina's doing right now.
Yeah.
You might want to explain.
Well,
Were you streaming?
yeah, what Michelle's referring to is we are, Michelle's also got a separate Ustream thing going out to his community here, and he's showing these documents as we go. Now, Michelle,
Why
okay,
pay the interest on the debt for another 200 years?
absolutely.
So once
Why?
let's say
Yeah,
we
let's
do
not-
this. Let's say 80% of the countries do this. Okay, so then we clear the debt and all that stuff. Okay, so now to your point about the interest.
Yeah.
So where do we go from there?
Well, there will be no interest if let's say you owe mortgage on your house and your house paid, you win a
Does that mean
lottery.
you're,
And then,
does that mean if you're debt free, your house is all paid off? Does that mean that?
well, not really, but let's say you win a lottery and you pay off your house, you don't owe interest on nothing. You owe interest on nothing.
So would
Yeah.
you be just paying like you're paying rent kind of thing, like you're paying a
let's
mortgage,
say-
but you're not paying interest. You're just making
Let's
payments until
say-
the actual amount is paid off.
Well, yeah. Let's say you owe $1.2 trillion.
Okay.
Well, you take $1.2 trillion from the pool. and you-
Okay, so everything's
And that's
okay.
it. It'll be the first time since the banking system was invented that every country has a chance to start all over again.
But then we'd have to
Since
create a new
everything-
system because otherwise we're just going to repeat the same thing, right?
Well, the thing is, the first thing we have to do though is promote this worldwide, the 13-month approach, as I like to call it, and it is gaining momentum because I've been up to this for about over a year now, and there's a lot of people who are very interested in this show today.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people watching right now, and the next 72 hours will be very interesting for me and you, the next 72 hours.
Well, I'm looking forward to the subpoenas going out to the World Bank.
Maybe you can come back after.
And
Yeah.
I do have one thing to say about that right
Okay.
now. There is something I do have to say about the World Bank at the moment. Now, there's 142 organizations that says that the World Bank is unfit to manage this global fund. Now, if one death occurred because of this, I have a case. And the World Bank also I will be asked subpoena the 142 organizations as of today too, and I will be asking them for death records. And then we have to do resulting from the Forest Carbon Fund project that the World Bank started in 2007. Class members also have been notified, and document 16 sub A in the International Criminal Court Charter, Chapter 15, Part C refers to crimes against peace, and I will prove that the World Bank is involved in crimes against humanity. And the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has confirmed the decision for me to proceed with this matter. And so on October 11, 2011, I notified all the directors of the World Bank, and they are watching right now at the moment. And I am going to show you how I'm going to defeat the World Bank in 1 minute. This is exactly what I'm going to do at the International Criminal Court because I am entitled to my 1 day in court.
Absolutely. Now, Michel, we don't have a lot of time left. I want to make sure we cover as much of this as possible. So, so let's try to summarize as quickly as we can what you're doing from this point forward.
Thank you very much. So on April 26th, I will be, you can go ahead with the rest of the documents. April 26th, I will be returning live on Ustream at 30tcs.com. There's three, I'll be entering pre-trial at the moment as of 2012, because today I have subpoenaed the directors, and I will be entering pre-trial. And to make since we are running out of time here, there's three websites I have to talk about.
Okay.
One is called Free Speech at Risk.
Yeah.
And the other one is a global economy corporate crime wave. He's a lawyer at projectsyndicate.org. And there's another organization called Sifting Tide Research. Now, these organizations here are depending on me to go to the International Criminal Court and they have some information for me to bring there when the time comes. Do you have any questions?
Michel, this is what it's going to be like when it's in court, right? Would you like
Where are you
to
actually
cross-examine
going?
the
Where is
witness?
this day happening?
Yeah, do you have to
Where
go
is
to
this
the
happening?
Hague or something?
Where
Well,
is
now that I have subpoenaed the World Bank, that's the first thing I must do.
What office do you use for
Well,
World
it's
Bank?
at the office located at the Hague, in the Netherlands.
You're going there?
Well, that's where the internet, and any lawsuit that comes my way is invalid until the International Criminal Court has reached a final decision on the Forest Carbon Fund project. So right now, until I have my court date at the International Criminal Court, I do not have to appear at any United Nations court,
Okay.
no international law
Okay,
courts.
okay.
Only right now, it's me, the World Bank, and the 18 judges at the International Criminal Court. Thank you for asking. I forgot to say that.
When you go, if you go, you
I
should
will.
bring a camera
I am
man
entitled.
with you.
They have a press gallery.
Okay.
They have these
You
glasses
should bring
now that have
somebody
a
with you.
HD camera built in, Michelle. You should wear that.
Well, I think that the World Bank might be wearing those.
Don't tell them.
eyes.
Don't tell them. But just say, "Oh, these are my glasses.
Can't
Gotta wear
see.
glasses,
Yeah.
right?"
Yeah.
And I have an update on the Mayan calendar, by the way.
Oh.
So on page 3 of my website at 30tcs.com. Has to do with the gold being refined into powder and something called a white stone.
Yeah, we know about that.
Yeah?
So, well, because this is the when Moses burnt the golden calf.
That's not what I heard.
When the Israelites got out of Egypt, they turned it into that white gold. Plus, they give it to the Anunnaki from Nibiru,
That's
who are
right,
returning
the
this year.
Anunnakis,
They need
that's
it to
right.
live forever.
So,
Exactly.
okay, so what's happening in 2012 then? Will
Well,
we
I
make it to
think-
yeah,
the-
what's going to happen?
So will we make it to this World Bank thing? Because
Yeah.
that's 2013.
Yes, but it starts at 2:12.
2012.
Okay, okay.
All right. Okay, Michelle, you're going to have to come back maybe in April when you're doing the other simulcast or something like that.
Sounds good.
And people can get more information about this at your website, right?
Yes, at
30tcs.com.
Thank you very
That's
much.
30tcs.com, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, listen, good luck with this.
Wow,
it's
that's
really,
amazing.
It's amazing you're actually doing this, Michelle.
I applaud
Yes,
your
yes,
your courage and your ingenuity, I guess.
Absolutely.
It's really
And and Sandra knows about this currency stuff too, because
Yes.
she's been on a show here talking about it, and so do
yes, totally, totally on side with
I. Fabulous. Good
sounds
luck
good.
for
Thank
all
you
of
very
us.
much.
that. And thank you for
Okay.
coming up with an amazing idea.
Thanks, Sandra.
Yes. So let's take a little quick break.
Okay.
We got Blue Venus is our music today. Fabulous music.
Yes, actually, I heard some of it. It's really nice.
And
Are they Canadian?
yeah, they're from Toronto.
Oh wow!
They performed live here numerous times, and they're
have
absolutely
they?
fabulous.
I always ask to be a co-host with a live band, and I never get
Well,
that.
one of these days.
That's why I'm
so-
wearing blue. See?
See, you're part of the Blue Venus scenario. Okay. So we're going to take this break now, come back with Parth Doshi and talk about Gandhi and the power to change the world as Liquid Lunch continues. We'll be right back.
Whenever I sing to you, makes you sad, I find it's worse than I did fear as I drink this wine away. Could play every day with the weight of what you say. All
Okay, welcome back to Liquid Lunch here. That's Blue Venus today. And we are now, we have Parth Doshi and Lorinda Crawford from New Acropolis. And Parth, you're from Boston.
I am, yes.
So welcome to Toronto. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
And Lorinda, you're right here in Toronto,
From
right?
Toronto, yes.
And so I didn't realize there was a New Acropolis. I knew there was one in Toronto and Montreal, but I didn't realize there was one in Boston as well.
Yeah, one in Boston, one in India as well, and across more than 50 countries all over the world, actually.
Okay, great. Now
Wow.
you're here in Toronto and you're giving a talk this weekend on Gandhi, right?
Yes.
The power to change the world.
Yeah.
Which is really important because this is the year it has to change.
Yeah, before, as you probably heard with the Mayan myths and everything, going to be going down.
Well, so I don't know what's going to happen. Well, we're further south now.
All right,
And you're a
good.
little further south in Boston too, I imagine.
Yeah, no, the weather in Toronto sort of reflects what's in Boston.
Really?
Actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been quite warm.
And Montreal too. Montreal's getting Toronto weather this year.
Get out.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay. So, so Parth, let's talk about this. First of all, what's your, where do you get your expertise from in Gandhi? And give us a little bit of what Gandhi, how we could change the world using some of the principles that Gandhi talked about.
Sure, so that's obviously a big question.
Yeah. So I'll just sit back
yes
here.
or no,
and
You can eat your lunch now. He's giving you the answer.
So I'm originally from India. I was born in India, and I actually came to the U.S. Almost 10 years ago, just for my undergrad education. And growing up in India, Gandhi and his prevalence, it's there partly because he's called the father of the nation. India was under British rule for many hundreds of years, and Gandhi led resistance against the British, which led to India's freedom in 1947. So in India, we actually have the birthday of Gandhi that's celebrated every year on October 2nd. So, obviously I grew up in a culture where, he was a prevalent person that everyone knew about. But, over the years, as I, traveled to the US and just going through my own life journey, I always had the deeper question about, how did he become the person that he was? Was he born as someone that was great and just destined to be great? Or was he just an ordinary person like, all of us, and that he went through his own transformation in life to be able to become the person he was and make the changes that he did? So when I actually encountered New Acropolis, and I met New Acropolis in Boston, I live in Boston right now, that's where a lot of questions were raised for me in trying to learn more the human dimension of Gandhi. And the talk actually focuses not so much on just Gandhi and what he did for India, because obviously there's a lot of historical achievements, and he led India to this freedom. But more than that, he became a spiritual icon for the world to look on, and more than anything else, he was an idealist. And that's something that was really, really important for me, because I grew up just culturally in a place where ideals of truth, love, justice were really valued. But in the world we live in today, that's something that's not given as much value to. And more importantly, it's hard to know how do we bring these things to life in the daily life we lead. And so, looking at all those factors, what was interesting for me to research and learn and study about Gandhi's life is, what allowed him to transform these ideals that are common not just to the people of India, but to every human being around the world. How could you translate that into reality? How could we be an example? How could we bring about a change? And that just led me on an exploration to rediscover Gandhi after I met New Acropolis in a different light. And through that I started giving lectures on Gandhi in Boston, and then from there I've given lectures on Gandhi in Montreal and Ottawa, and this weekend in Toronto.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If you were Gandhi today, what would you do to change
That's
the
a
world?
great question.
So the first thing I think it starts off is with the individual development, because when we start looking at the problem of what we face as a humanity, or we look at the world as we speak, it's a massive project. You know, to even change a small part of a city, to bring about, you know, even aside from a city, to bring about change even in ourselves as human beings is so difficult.
That can be the hardest thing.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And you know, so the idea being that, you know, society and human beings today might come across as independent, where all of us are sort of in our own small bubble, doing our own things, and we're all part of society, but we forget this relationship between society and the individual, that they each impact each other. And so the society is made up of a lot of individuals, you know, all of us. And so the starting point would be to start changing ourselves. Because, you know, to change ourselves, the first thing we need is an education, and not an education that allows us to fit into the economy. You know, we need an education to learn how to make money and get a training for that. But it first starts with the education and development of the individual.
Are you talking on a spiritual sense?
In a spiritual sense, but also in terms of just, you know, human quality, human character. And so, you know, it's more development of human character, which cannot have a reference just on the material sense. You know, having more money, having more wealth doesn't make a better human being. And we have to learn how to allow the human being to find the power in the being and not in the having. You know, a lot more value is given to the things we can have and what we can accumulate, but not as much value is given to who a person can become and how he can become a better person. So I think the first step would be to start putting, you know, programs together to help individuals. And, you know, New Acropolis obviously does a lot of this, and that's where, you know, for me, what was important to come to New Acropolis is to learn how to make a difference, you know, how to make a change in my life, but also have changes that can impact the lives of others as well.
So then how do you go from that, like a Gandhi did,
Yeah.
and actually affect the world?
No, that's a great point. So I mean, you know, just the way anything has to start small, it cannot start on a big scale, right? Everything that's happened in the history of humanity starts really small. So if we have more and more people practicing the principles, and they're not principles of Gandhi, I mean, that's the key point I want to also get through this lecture. Gandhi is more an example of these universal principles that we see, and he shows us how applying these universal principles allows you to make that change. You know, so the idea is that the more individuals learn how to become better themselves, they can impact not only themselves, but people around them as well. So, you know, what we need, it's, you know, it's like having a dark room, and what we need is one small candle of light that can radiate. But from that, people can learn how to radiate themselves. So, you know, we're talking more about putting these values through example. But for that, we first need an individual education and individual development. And as more and more people learn how to do that, they can come together and learn how to harmonize working together as well.
Is that how you think he did it?
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest thing we discover, if anyone is able to come to the lecture on Saturdays, we start discovering about his life to learn more about, you know, how did he transform himself? Because he wasn't born this way to be able to bring all these ideals into practice. And, you know, the key thing of what he shows us as, you know, to all of humanity is that to combat hatred, violence, you know, uncourteous or greed and all these different vices, we need to look at the virtues. And he used the virtue of love to combat violence and oppression that was shown by, you know, the oppressors were the British at that time.
Okay, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Because the last time Sandra was here, right? You remember, you know what we're going to talk about here, right?
Yes, I do.
We actually were talking with
Sacred activist?
yes, a sacred activist. And we talked about Gandhi and the example that he did in India with dealing with the British,
Yeah.
right? And using his techniques, nonviolence, whatever you want to call that, right?
Yeah.
It worked on the British. Then the question was, would those same techniques have worked against the Nazis? And we kind of all agreed, I think, that no, they wouldn't. It did work against the British, who were reasonable, who had an image of themselves as good people, right? But against the Nazis, who were just unreasonable and very violent, it just wouldn't have worked. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, what's interesting is actually Gandhi had some correspondence with Hitler as well during his time. And if we explore this principle of nonviolence that we talk about, we have documentation, and even the movie Gandhi shows that the British weren't understanding. They were oppressors, and in the time, it's human nature. When you're in power, you take power and you push and you use the power that you have. So the whole technique of nonviolence is to try and show the other person that what they're doing is not right. And what that requires is that the person practicing this is even stronger on the inside, is able to withstand blows and oppression again and again, to keep getting up and show the person saying, you know what, I'm not going to fight back because that will create more violence.
Yeah, you
But
become
but
the
instead I'm going to keep resisting the violence. I'm not going to succumb to the power that you push back to me.
So he actually talked to Hitler?
Well, he sent him a letter. He sent him a correspondence at a very human level, and there's some documentation. I don't know offhand exactly what that correspondence was, but just sharing with Hitler again about the human aspect of things, that at the end of it all, we are all human beings. And again, with this lecture, the idea is to try and actually look at these elements to see how we can apply it in our daily lives, because today, for all of us individually, maybe we don't have a nation to free, or we don't have, to be an activist, but just observing in our day-to-day life, how do we react to things? Do we ever get angry?
So maybe we can be reactivists.
Well, I think we need to be. I mean, I don't know if you had the Occupy thing going on in Boston, but I mean, there's a lot of people, and now people are saying that the whatever the most recent primary in wherever it was fixed, was rigged, that Ron Paul
Yes, I
really
heard
won,
that.
Yeah.
but the polls are rigged,
Yeah.
right? And obviously the anonymous people, the Occupy people, they're feeling a need for some kind of activist, some kind of change in the United States, but everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah, no,
But they
absolutely.
don't want violence either, though. They're not
I don't know
looking
about
to
these anonymous guys.
maybe computer violence. They're called hackers, right?
Yeah, well,
So-
they're doing that kind of, they do not forgive, they do not forget.
Oh yeah, that's
Yep.
right.
Right.
I forgot about that. Well, okay, so from your perspective, how do you feel about all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, what we see with Gandhi, and again, not just with Gandhi, but what we see with universal principles is that, as human beings, we have to get back to the root of what fundamental values are and learn how to develop those. Because, and it sounds very idealistic, right? We're always saying, oh, we need to learn how to be peaceful, learn how to be generous and kind in all these different aspects. But it's not just enough to study these things. We have to learn how to put them into practice in our day-to-day life. And so, the idea with the lecture is to really bring out those elements that at an individual level, what can all of us do where we are? Because all of us have a different background. We might be in different cities, facing different challenges on a day-to-day level as well. So the idea isn't that, what we are trying to learn from Gandhi is just for people who are activists and trying to make a difference at, the political level. But we are talking about the human being at an individual level. In our day-to-day life, what do we experience? Do we ever, have a bias and prejudice against different things or different people? When, we are having discussions with loved ones or people we don't know, do we react and get angry sometimes, right? So, because when we look at violence, what is the seed of that violence? It's inside the human being. It's not outside. And so, the idea is also to learn how to observe our own selves and see how can we all learn to use peace and love in our own lives, just with everything we do. The actions we take, do we bring more beauty and justice and harmony to these actions? And it could be for everyone because it's universal. And everyone might, try to bring a little bit more in their family, might bring a little bit more in the work environment that they live in. Because Gandhi's simple motto was, we all need to learn how to be the change that we want to see in the world first.
Okay.
And as we do it, more and more people can go in that direction, learn how to work with each other, and slowly over time we can build something better. So it's a long project. It's not something that'll happen in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. To change the world, it's going to be hundreds of years maybe, but we have to start somewhere.
Well, it starts this weekend right here in Toronto at New Acropolis.
Yeah.
Now, who would be people? What kind of people would be interested in this, and what can they take away from this? And I don't know. We're going to get all the details, but do you want to
Sure.
speak to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, my goal with this lecture wasn't so much to just talk about how great Gandhi was, because, we all feel inspired when we see a great human being from a spiritual perspective, political perspective, in the sports field, and so on. The idea was it's an accepted fact he was great. We can look at some facts about it and explore. So I'm going to present some video clips from the movie just to give people an idea who don't know about his life. But then the crux of the lecture is to really focus on how did he become that person? Because just like all of us, he had trials and tribulations in his life.
He's still
he
human.
He met with failure. He
Yeah.
had a lot of fear. Despite all of this, how did he take on the weight of leading a country to freedom, but not only lead it to freedom, but by conquering his own inner battles?
I can't imagine this man had fear.
Well, that's the thing. So it's in the lecture, that's the thing we explore, which is not shown in the movies and not captivated in a lot of books out there. Is what was he like before he was called the Mahatma?
So maybe if people see him in a more human light,
Exactly.
then we can relate to him more and think, wow, if he can do that, then maybe we can do just a snippet of what he can do.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's also more important to see that more than if he did that, how did he do it? Because if the thing is, we all can see that out. We see that person being very patient, very loving, very kind, but we don't all necessarily have a clear path on how the person does it. And that's the key thing we discover with Gandhi. We actually understand, and the goal is to present in the lecture about how did he do this transformation within himself.
That's fabulous. So people can actually learn how to do it themselves
Exactly.
and become more Gandhi-like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and at least have a clear understanding of what this path is, and more than Gandhi-like, just become more human.
Yeah.
Well, he
Just
really
get-
was the epitome of what a human,
Exactly.
the potential
Exactly.
for a human.
Exactly,
could
and
be.
that's the reason for me Gandhi is inspirational, not so much because he's Gandhi or he's from India, but he was able to take the human qualities that exist universally all amongst us and be able to practice it, and shows the power of what happens when we practice it, how we can truly change people and the environment around us. Because it's hard to imagine, like, how can love take the British who are ruling the country with power, don't want to leave it, how can it transform them over time? It didn't happen in a year or two. He spent a 30-year campaign of non-resistance. So it also shows us that it was a long-term project, but his goal wasn't to free India. His goal was to try and change what was inside the human being.
And it's interesting, we look at that period of history now and we know what happened,
Yeah.
right? And it was, it was successful, although the end for Gandhi was very tragic.
Yeah.
But he succeeded in his project. But when you think about it, in the midst of all that, there was no hindsight, and he had not succeeded yet. And it's easy to look back and say he was successful, but he must have had doubts every step of the way, trying to lead India through that very difficult process.
Well, what's interesting is that people around him had doubts, and we see that through his life, but he never had doubts, partly because what he had discovered in his life, which we'll talk about in the lecture, is universal principles. And what he had realized is that if they're universal and they're principles, then they will always win at the end. Maybe it'll take really long, but they'll always win. So what's also interesting about Gandhi is he developed in himself, and it wasn't something that he developed and he was done. No, it was a constant process through his life to constantly develop and strengthen these principles within him with the conviction. It wasn't just a faith or a belief. It was a conviction through practice. So he was someone who really experimented with these ideas, with these principles, and took a journey on forming his character rather than forming a career.
So the ultimate test, actually.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's this weekend. Now, Lorinda, you're here. Do you have any comments about this before we give out all the details how people can participate?
I would just like to say that at New Acropolis we like to highlight great examples of being human or human beings, and a big thank you to Parth for coming and sharing. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful Saturday afternoon.
Okay, so what time does it start and where is it?
1 o'clock. It starts at 1 o'clock, and it'll go for a few hours at the Center for Social Innovation, which is at 215 Spadina.
Between
Which is
Dundas
just
and
north of
Dundas.
Queen on the east side, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah,
Yeah?
between Dundas and Queen. Yeah, and
Fabulous
tickets
place.
are $25 regular and $15 for full-time students.
That's fabulous. And is there a website where people can go to get?
Yeah, I would
the
say the
tickets?
best website is www.newacropolis.ca.
Okay, and then all the contact information is there, and they can get in touch with somebody.
Yeah, and you can
get
reserve
tickets.
online.
That's fabulous.
Wow.
Okay. All right, guys. Great.
Be the
Parth,
change.
thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
to have this conversation. Great to meet you, and
Great to meet you as well.
best of luck with this. And you got to come back next time you're in Toronto.
Thank
I'm
you
sure
for
you'll be
doing
back.
this work, and I
Yeah.
feel like you're kind of bringing Gandhi through. He's
Yeah.
kind of resurfacing again.
Absolutely.
But you know, be the change is his line. But for me, the most telling line,
Yeah.
the one I live by, is you can judge the state of a nation
Yeah.
by the way it treats its animals.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what
Can I
you said.
say one more thing?
Yes, one more.
What was it? Oh.
We're so in our
okay.
now moment.
Just be the change. And something that I find exemplary, and that's a feature of New Acropolis, is that the aim is to voluntarily be the change. It's not to be paid to be the change. And so that's something that I would say
And
is a
that's a
hallmark.
good point. That's a good point
New
because
Acropolis, yeah.
it really is.
I don't know. I think they should be paid. I think when Michelle gets done with his work, we can all get paid for doing the work.
Or maybe we won't need money at all.
Maybe.
Anyway,
Although that's a whole
anyway.
other show. Okay. Thanks,
New
guys.
Acropolis, we're full of volunteers.
Okay, great.
And ideas.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, Parth Doshi, Lorinda Crawford, thanks so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
very
we're going
much.
to take a little break, and we're going to come back with, well, we got so many guests. We have Steve Cameron is here with the hockey book. We're going to be talking about that. We got Captain Revenue is in the house. We got Philip Ames is here. It's just a jam-packed show. We'll be right back here on thatchannel.com.
You know, Captain Revenue, same colors as.
I know.
My future then seemed dim, like withered leaves of a branch that's been broke. I looked in the milk glass future, and what I saw was mine up in smoke. Where's hope? Why lying to deceive when it's clear you're not to blame? Every ending a beginning. You can count your bets, but get off soon. You're sadly fading. Don't keep smiling with that cheap beer grin. It's a lie, 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 lie. Oh, lie, lie, lie. Say what you want me to say, just to get out of the way. I won't let you know. You gotta let it show your fire resistance in pain. You could make it right, or shrink like a violet out of sight in fright. I won't let you know. You gotta let it show. All your bitterness not needed. You can count your bets, but get off soon. You're sadly fading. Don't keep smiling with that cheap beer grin. It's a lie, 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 lie. Oh, lie, lie, lie. Oh, say what you want me to say, just to get out of your way. Play who you want me to play, just to get out of the way.
All right, we're back here on Liquid Lunch, and we have Captain Revenue who flew in the window. There he is, Captain Revenue. Woo!
He hit his head coming in. He's covering his
Okay,
bruise.
Captain Revenue, I got to ask you first of all. I've always wondered, because how do superheroes fly? You don't really have wings. You don't have
No.
any aerodynamics
He's got
going
the
on.
muscle, though. Look.
We just focus on where we're trying to go and just take a leap of faith.
Just like in a dream. Just like when you fly in your dream,
Just
right?
like
time
when
travel.
you know, got a girlfriend for the first time, open a new business, or or decide you're gonna get a new car or something.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, you got a lot of girl stories. I know you were telling us that one before we came on the air,
Yeah.
Captain Revenue. I'm thinking it might be more about just revenue.
Okay.
Or maybe I'm
All right.
Well, you
We
know,
got to have some fun in life. We can't just continually just focus on
Absolutely.
but what do you do with the revenue, right?
Well, this is the
That's-
thing. Here you are in your superhero outfit, Captain Revenue. We're talking about revenue.
Yep.
And that's what you do. You help people and
Yep.
companies to get their revenue situation happening better, right?
Turn it around. Absolutely. I'm not the greatest at remembering which day is garbage day or picking up my socks, but getting the revenue going, lickety split.
Which is
Okay.
fine, because if you have the revenue, then you can pay somebody to pick up the
That's
socks
the
and take out
cool
the
thing.
garbage.
There you go.
So it all works.
Captain Revenue, this is fabulous. Now, now, first of all, how did you get into this? Like, what's your background, and how did you come to be Captain Revenue and helping companies and people to do this?
Sure. I actually, maybe it was part of, the flying in the background. I graduated in aerospace engineering, and was really excited with that study, but was really depressed with that work. And went to Europe for a year, came back, and my younger sister died early, and my father was pretty sick. And I said, "Ooh, we got to learn some things about life." Right? So at the time I said to myself, it might be a good idea to know that life is short, and you should do what you feel your calling is and where you need to be. And so at that time I said, forget my education. I mean, it'll do me well, but the best thing I could do is work with the people I liked and wanted to make an impact with, and so forth. And at the time I had been reading some business books, so what better way to get into business and help out a business with no training is in the area of sales. So that's usually where to do it. And I actually went to London, Ontario. I've been all over the country, but I was in London, Ontario at the time. And the person that hired me said, "You'll do it my way or the highway." And that was a
must
little
have
bit
thrilled
of a... What's that?
That must have thrilled you.
Yeah,
I'd love
thought,
to hear
this is-
that.
This is a little different than college. This was a little different than college. So he basically said, "You do it this way, and you look after people, and you serve them till you're blue in the face, and a few other little tips and tricks." And we first with him, but basically have blown apart many sales records in the country, and about 16 years ago, I started helping businesses figure it out and turn things around on a dime. Because there's some people out there that are hurting, either an entrepreneur or big business. They're just, trying to figure out how to turn it around.
Okay, so you've got experience being a successful salesperson. So first of all, you're speaking from experience, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I got to ask you though, because it seems like you were actually attracted into the sales profession, and for a lot of people, that's a scary prospect. What was it about it, or what was it about you that made that such an attraction?
I have no idea. I just went there and I said, this works good, and I like these people, and I just started helping people out. In fact, what happened in the earlier part of my years in sales is I actually had big corporation vice presidents and presidents come to where I was, say, you just can't do this.
So
I
you
said,
were
do what? They said, well, you personally did the sales for this whole business for the week, personally, Tuesday, yourself.
Oh, you did
And
the whole
so you
quota.
achieved all the
for everybody,
Yeah.
myself, in a day on the slowest day of the week. I said, I'm just helping
So how do you
people
do
out.
it? Okay, so is that the secret?
That's
Really,
pretty
you're
close.
you just take that on as you're not selling, you're helping people.
Right,
Is that it?
right.
Very
You're helping
astute.
people. And you know what happened? I'll tell you really what happened was, I mean, this is really what happened. Because I took that turn from doing what I was educated, doing what I liked,
Yeah.
I thought to myself, I'll just start at the bottom, even if I'm a low guy on the totem pole. Because I like it, I'll excel past all the people that hate their jobs.
That's a kind
And
of
it doesn't take very long. And that's really what happens.
that's really a unique insight too.
But did you make a lot of enemies along the way?
A lot of people got jealous, I guess, yeah.
Because you
super
know,
villains created a lot of super villains.
The
the
economy,
jokers and
the naysayers, the people that are just trying to get paycheck to paycheck and just make it. All those people
But
got
you know
jealous.
what? There's a challenge in that too, because there's a challenge as you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you really want to help people
Yeah.
and you're actually hurting these people, so that kind of is contrary to what you really want to do.
Well,
Yeah, I don't know if I would consider, going the distance, going all out, and being beside the people that, don't want to is hurting them. I think it's inspirational, I mean, a lot of what I find out there is people aren't inspired to do anything these days except go from morning till night and
Yeah.
weekend till weekday and hope that the next holiday is not something they miss and not have to look
I
at
think
their
they're not
credit card
happy in
bill.
their
really?
job.
What are you saying?
Yeah.
People in general are feeling this kind of malaise? Do you think?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if people were going all out, man, oh man, this place would be just hopping. And so that's, I have a 7-part plan, process that I talk about in my seminars. And if people want me to come help them out, let me know. But there's a 7-point plan to drive the attraction of business and just the whole world to you. And the first thing is to go all out.
To go all out.
Yeah.
Okay, but then-
like go all out. Like don't just, drive a taxi cab. Like be the best there is. Don't just, in your terms, to go all out. If you're not going to, I mean, what I've found as I work around the world with different businesses is, they're holding on to their memories of their childhood when they were on those 3-legged races and all their parents are cheering them on, and they got to the end and they give out a ribbon for first, a ribbon for second, a ribbon for third, funniest costume, MVP. They made sure everybody got a ribbon.
Yeah.
We don't live like that anymore. Nobody cares about second in anything. So you got to go all out.
You got to go to be number one.
Yeah, I mean, whatever
Go
you're
for the
striving
gold.
for, go for it.
Go for the gold.
You got you. Otherwise,
Okay, so how do you turn that around? How do you, if you're noticing this general, apathy toward, how do you, that would be the first thing, even before you get down to the 7 principles that you talk about. How do you get them excited? How do you get that taxi cab driver excited?
well, I don't work with people who don't want to change.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
first thing.
Okay.
If
okay.
they want a dramatic change in their life, that's a key.
Okay.
If they don't,
Okay.
go do what you're doing.
Because you really can't help anybody who doesn't want to be helped.
Exactly. I mean, really, a lot of times people spend a lot of time trying to sell people what they think they need.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, for example, from the top that you have on, from the cap you have on the glasses, and all, you bought all these things because you wanted them at the time you wanted them, right?
Sure.
So like, if they don't want me, or they don't want to change
Right.
their life, if they don't want an extra 6, 7, or 8 figures in their business, whether they're an entrepreneur or a major corporation, then I don't have time to deal with 6 billion people anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But we can start that spark, and people say, wow, there's actually somebody out there. There's actually somebody who's got my back. It's not the economy. We don't have to listen to the naysayers. We don't have to look at mainstream negativity that's going on out there. We can actually make a difference. Go all out and build an incredible life in our own special way.
I'm going to ask you a question, Rob, and because and it's kind of a heavy question, okay? But for example, imagine for a second a business, and you were probably there, so maybe you've gone through this. you're getting all primed up. You want to be successful in business. You got a plan, or you're putting a plan in place together. Then something like 9/11 happens,
Right.
and you know that everything's going to be messed up, right?
Right.
How do you recommend people deal with something like that? Like some big world-changing thing, like the
Adapting
polar
to
shift that's going to
change?
happen. What happens? How are sales going to be better? How are people going to do this when the
All
Cape Town
communication
becomes the new
satellites go
South
out.
Pole?
Yeah.
Right, right. Well, you see, the thing is, the first thing that I share with people is, if you did, $2 million in sales last year, and this year you did $1 million, it doesn't mean you're a loser. It just means that you're providing half as much value that the world wants that you did last year.
Right.
You're just providing half as much, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of major corporations have a hard time turning on a dime. But basically, the main problem with business is they spend too much time planning.
Not enough
so
time doing?
the more time people have spent in their plans, the more time they want to stay committed to executing those plans, no
Okay.
matter what goes on.
Because you have to take the feedback from the real world
Yeah.
and adapt.
You have
right?
to adapt. I mean, both of you are adapting beings. I mean, I've been to Africa many times. I help businesses everywhere. And, I guess this is an 18 and over show, but basically, I'm hoping it is.
Why? It doesn't
But
matter.
you see, the animals in Africa, they basically, we're not far off. They eat, drink, sleep, have sex, protect their young, and protect themselves.
Not have
we're-
sex, surely.
Well, it goes on a little bit, but you see, we're not far off of that.
Uh-huh.
And what happens is our subconscious mind, it's thinking about those things a lot,
Yeah.
is running our life.
Uh-huh.
And so, 9/11 happens, and subconscious, like it's going like this, right?
Right.
You've got to create products and services and value for what's driving people at the time, like.
So in a sense,
like you
something
have to.
like 9/11 or any event, all of a sudden people's needs change. And just
Absolutely.
adapt and think about what that is.
Right. And
See,
that's
and look
if
for
you're
the
there.
opportunity, right? Look for the opportunity.
I love the opportunity. It's just the greatest thing.
Because it's always the opportunity to help people, right?
Yeah. Give them what they want.
I think, don't they say that the secret to success is your ability to adapt to change, not to stick to the same thing?
Who moved my cheese?
Exactly.
Yeah, where is that cheese?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's about, I see some of the bigger companies that I've dealt with, they're so, how can we make sure this plan works?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do you want to grow your revenues? Wasn't it the same thing? No.
Yeah, the plan is
how
one
do
thing.
how do we work within our budget? How do we budget? Okay. Do you want to grow revenues? Because it's hard. I don't know. I mean,
Well, it's like you say. I'm just trying to understand. It's like the budget, the plan. They are all in service of the goal, right?
well, sort of.
All right.
That's what their focus
That's what
is.
they think, and
It's
he's
that,
saying
you
that
know,
not really.
It's something to keep busy on before you actually go out and do something for someone and earn $1. It's stuff to keep busy on, and so I'm not knocking everything that's going on, but it takes a little bit of a shift to say, hey, what are we going to do? What's the market want? Let's give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the moment a restaurant owner that dreams about being a restaurant owner, and that's our life's dream, and they spend all this money to open a restaurant. The moment they open the door, they're no longer in the restaurant business. The moment they open the door, they're no longer in the restaurant business.
I give up.
They're in the
Sales. Revenue
know,
growing business.
they're in the stealing customers from their competitors by providing better value that the customers really want business. That's the business that they're in. And so, I mean, by providing.
And the restaurant is just the dress.
But that sounds like a heavy concept. I
Well,
mean, it
it's-
sounds simple in a way, but
it's-
to really get it and to
Yeah.
really then start to apply it,
Yeah.
you know?
But that seems really impersonal too, though, doesn't it?
Well,
Well, I mean, if
Because
I
then you could start any business. Then why have the restaurant business? And why not have a print shop?
well, it's like any.
well, it's any business.
Business.
Once you're open for business, your goal is not to expand the market, but to better serve the market.
To steal.
Well,
Whatever word you want to use. I've used lots of different words to help people get it
Okay.
quicker, but it's about better serving the market. You know, I mean, that's why banks started opening later, because people wanted a bank later.
took long enough
Yeah, took long enough.
because they're
That's
banks.
because
They don't
that's
really
because they were
need
so
to
busy.
compete.
They were so spending
or
so much
re-
time planning it. That's why before they finally executed it. That's why they were planning it for 15 years before they actually did it.
Well, it takes a lot
Right?
of planning when you're a bank.
Yeah, they didn't want to do that. So yeah, it's you know, maybe that's
Okay.
a tough word for
All
some
right.
people. But
Well, it sounds like you've got a real unique approach here, and it sounds like you really, when you walk into these companies,
Oh, he's got a unique
as,
approach.
as long as they are really ready to change, then you can help them, right?
yeah, absolutely. If they've got crisis on their hands, or they just can't figure out how to, you know, make that multiple, or you know, I come in and help them. But also, what I do a lot of times is inspire their sales teams, or inspire the entrepreneurs or other small business groups that get together at the different events I speak at, to follow a very small, quick step pattern to, you know, really kick it up a notch for the companies that they're working for, if not themselves.
You know what astounds me here is the fact that you have an aerospace engineer background. How the heck did you know this? Like, you're not a BA. Like, you didn't go to economics school or business school.
It doesn't help you anyway when you're trying to do sales.
Well, but you know, or marketing, or you know, it's funny. I mean, what does aerospace stuff have to do with? That's what's really phenomenal to me. It's like, how the heck did you have the insight you have when your background is so?
I don't think so. I just started back
You must
there
be natural
trying
at it.
to help. You know, and when you do something and it works for people, they just say, "Can you do this again?" I go, "Yeah." You know, and so that's
You
a
just
little.
fell into it.
You know, it's been a number of years doing that, but
You flew into it.
I flew into it.
Okay. All right. So, Rob, we're just about out of time here, but we
Sure.
want to talk people like who should get in touch with you, because you're available, as you say, for speaking
Yeah.
engagements, but
Yeah.
also available to go into companies
Absolutely.
and help them in
Yeah.
a more detailed way.
Well, the best thing is they can go to captainrevenue.com and they can find out more information. Check out some more, you know, sexy pictures if they want to check out my other pictures if they want. But they can find out more about what I speak about at different events. If they have an upcoming event here or in the U.S. or the U.K., they can click on one of the contact tabs, and myself or my assistant will pick that up and see if that works for your schedule and mine, and rock and roll and make it happen.
Okay. CaptainRevenue.com.
Got it.
Rob Canyon, thanks for doing this today.
Awesome, Hugh.
I'd love
Great
to have you
for
back
having me.
sometime and go through those
And yourself
points.
too, Sandra.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so
Got to
let's
fly out of here now.
Yeah, he's good.
That's the
Thank
other
goodness our
advantage-
window's open here.
You know what? That's the other advantage. No traffic.
Yeah, no
Absolutely.
traffic.
See, you don't have to deal with any of that.
No
that alone
traffic.
is like no road rage.
But pretty soon everyone will be a superhero, and then you'll have to, then there will be traffic.
Then our capes are going to get clipped.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to come back in a couple of minutes. We've got Steve Cameron
Similar
here,
colors as Captain
who's the
Revenue?
Author, the same colors, yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
Red, white,
edited. It's forward by Scotty Bowman. Great
Very.
treasures from the Hockey Hall of Fame. We're going to come back with
Scotty's a
Steve right
treasure
after
himself.
this. Click a lunch, thatchannel.com.
I lost having a life. Tick tock. Take me away from the sun. I'd rather be just hanging in the sun. Take me away from these numbers and these phones. They keep calling me and complaining. That's what I'm supposed to be explaining. That it's all. Walked into the elevator. Had no trip to take. I just had the car.
Welcome back to Liquid Lunch. We're here with Steve Cameron joining us here. Steve is the editor of this book, Hockey Hall of Fame Treasures. And Steve, great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming down today. And I don't know where we start here.
Forward by
There's
Scotty
a lot. This is when I first saw you with this book, it's like a perfect coffee table book for anybody that
The pictures
is into
are
hockey.
amazing.
Yeah, well, that coffee table book about hockey is exactly what we wanted. In fact, I wanted to make a book, a hockey book, an art book with hockey gear. Is essentially what we wanted to do. Wanted to, something really big and thoughtful, and something that kind of catered to Canadian culture enthusiasts and hockey enthusiasts at the same time, and give them something I hadn't seen before.
I just got to show this one. I don't know. I'm just going to hold this one picture up. This is one of the early helmets, right?
Yeah, that's Eddie Shore's helmet. He started wearing helmets after he knocked Ace Bailey out, and Ace Bailey suffered a severe brain injury and could never play again. And after that incident, he started wearing helmets, and it's just leather and elastic.
And I guess that was the beginning of the evolution of headgear in hockey. And
he was one of the first to consistently wear a helmet. There have been other people who had worn them. Some goalies had experimented with face protection, but it hadn't really come a long way.
Do you have a Jacques Plante mask in there?
Yeah, there's Jacques Plante's first mask and his first practice mask as well, which he couldn't wear, and his coach forbade him to wear, but it was like a big, thick piece of plexiglass, basically, that wrapped around his face. It's some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
do you want to go through some of the pictures? Oh, there we go. We got one of the pictures up there. So those are. Can we go back? Is that those were a bunch of? Were those Jacques Plante masks?
Well, they're just a bunch of masks.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Those masks that we saw at first.
All right, well, that was just a picture of 6 different face form-fitting masks. They are just kind of, emblematic of what masks were at the time. The first one there was Jim Rutherford's mask from Detroit, and it was just white with 2 kind of Detroit Red Wing wings coming off the sides of the eyes, and that's the first painted mask ever. And so that kind of led to all goalies kind of painting their mask and giving themselves that personal signature that's become so popular and has become a real icon of hockey. And so there are a few other masks that, of prominence in that shot as well.
Was there any Jacques Plante? I remember he was
No,
such a big deal about
I can
him
find
and his
I can
masks.
find the Jacques Plante mask for you if you
Well,
like.
what's I just remember they were like shooting hockey pucks at those masks, and they were actually could split the puck. They were demonstrating the strength of those
The
masks.
mask could split the puck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
I
hit you
wouldn't
on the
I wouldn't
head.
want to have my face behind it.
Oh my
No,
God.
no, you wouldn't.
That's the first mask right there.
The very first mask. Is that a Jacques,
That's the very first mask that was worn in NHL action consistently.
and it was a Jacques Plante, was it?
Yep, Jacques Plante
So
for the
he
Montreal
invented-
Canadiens.
Well, there you go.
He was
I
playing
know.
the New York Rangers, and Andy Bathgate took a backhand
Wow,
shot,
Look at that.
sliced him by his nose. He came back out, told Blake, his coach, said, "I'm not playing again if I can't wear my mask." And told Blake, said, "Well, you're the best goalie in the NHL. I guess I got to let you play." So that's kind of the story behind the mask. And
Wow.
everyone was worried that it would hinder the goaltender's vision. He wouldn't be able to see by his feet.
Well, they had to pay a lot of attention to how they designed the eye holes and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it came about, over the next 20 years that they started to pull the mask away from the face and put cage in front of it. And Dave Dryden was one of the first to do that. Ken Dryden's brother, he played for the Edmonton Oilers in the World Hockey Association.
And Buffalo for a while.
Yeah, and he played in Buffalo. And actually him and Ken and Dave played the first game against each other in the NHL, Buffalo, Montreal. But, so Dave Dryden was the first to really create a one-piece mask like goalies have today. And a lot of the European goalies were wearing helmets with cages on them, and that inspired that as well. So,
And that doesn't obstruct the vision because it's further out.
no, I'm a goalie myself. I played this morning. You don't even see the bars. Once you
Wow.
wear it for like 3 minutes, you can't see anything. Well, you can see everything, and the bars do not obstruct your vision. It's a little more succinct.
Can we go through some of those pictures again, or how's that working out?
The color is phenomenal.
Oh, there we go. So there's the masks. Just a bunch of masks.
So yeah, you've got Jim Rutherford, Chico Resch, John Garrett, Grant Fuhr.
Okay, now these are some skates. We might have to talk about these. No, what are those skates there?
Those skates are Brian Leach's skates, and he wore those skates for I think 6 years in succession, which most players go through multiple pairs a year. And
Wow.
when you see them close up, they've just got so many stitch marks in them and stuff, because the trainers for the New York Rangers are phenomenal with gear, and they always reinforce and rebuild this gear. So he's able to wear that pair of skates for a long time. He won the Stanley Cup with those skates, won a Norris Trophy with those skates. They're just a really nice, carved up piece of hockey that, you know, kind of, it's almost romantic. It's what you kind of think of when you think of playing hockey.
Wow.
It's kind of interesting to see the gear, because it's really, as you say, it's really a coffee book table about hockey gear.
Yeah, I mean, as you go through, there's trophies, there's medals, there's paper, you know, paraphernalia, but there's, the majority of hockey playing is done in all this sorts of gear. So
Yeah.
it's we really wanted to show it up close and personal, show the scars, the nicks, the like, you know, tape jobs, the handcraftedness of some of it. It's interesting.
Well, it's just striking me now. It's a great way for somebody to take a little bit of the Hockey Hall of Fame home with them, right?
Well, that's our whole tagline for the book is it's the next best thing to being there. And I really think it is. You get really up close and personal. We wanted to kind of take the artifacts out of the display cases, you know, take them out of the museum setting and bring them back to a setting which is kind of, you know, live like hockey. So there's pictures of equipment in arenas and back to their natural environment. And, you know, we tried to make, you know, things big and full color and really allow you to get in there and almost smell it, if you will.
It's awesome for anybody who's into hockey, which is most Canadians.
Well, I think a grand majority of us are.
I think you have, as we were talking, I think before we came on, even road hockey, like, you know, I mean, most Canadians, if not all, have played hockey, and they just feel it in their bones. And when you're watching it on TV, you're feeling what it's like to be skating around and shooting that puck and everything.
I absolutely. And I would say that, you know, there's no better experience than going to a live hockey game. It's just it's visceral, and you know, just participating in the game in any way. I think there's a lot of Canadians that do.
But you know, this is also, I think, really good for if you know hockey, but it can also be educational for young kids too who are just getting into hockey.
Oh, absolutely. There's a ton of history packed in that book, and you know, be it the evolution of equipment or the evolution of different franchises, different star players, even different leagues that people would never even have heard of. You know, like you know, there's hockey leagues in Japan right now. There's I think there's a team called the Tokyo Bunnies. You know, like there's all sorts of stuff that you'd never. They play hockey in Harbin, China.
Like
They
to see
play
their
hockey.
goalie mask.
They play hockey all over the place, right? So it's there's lots to learn from that book.
Yeah, so it's not just about reminiscing; it's also educational. It can be really, you know, it's. I have a different respect for the sport when I look at something like this. It's. I mean, yes, it's a bruiser sport, but it does look like there's some intelligence behind here.
Well, there's so much art in hockey itself, right? There's art in the glove save. There's art in the, you know, coast to coast breakaway, and there's art in all the jerseys and all the paraphernalia that goes with hockey, and it's really a beautiful game.
And to see it, see the history of it,
Yeah.
right? The evolution of the equipment, the evolution of sweater design. And you know, you go to the Hockey Hall of Fame and you see the history there, and you think about the fact that a team from Kenora, Ontario, won the Stanley Cup one year.
The Kenora Thistles. I don't know if did they win the Stanley Cup. I gotta go through my
they
history.
did.
The Kenora Thistles. They may have won, but they probably only had it for like 2 days. In the challenge era, anyone can challenge, right? And you've got the Kenora Thistles, and you've got.
There was a team from Dawson City once, didn't they?
That challenged. There's teams from Nova Scotia that challenged. There's teams from everywhere.
Yeah. I just got to ask you, because we're looking at some of the evolution of the equipment, and people are talking now about how the equipment has gotten so good that it's now starting to be a bit of a problem. It's that the equipment might be responsible for a lot of the head injuries and the tragedy of what Sidney Crosby's going through right now. Do you think we're in line for another evolution of the equipment to a point where?
They're already implementing, softer caps on shoulder pads and elbow pads, which I think just makes sense. And I don't know if they're going to kind of halt the evolution of stick design, because right now players can shoot the puck with such velocity so quickly, but there's not a lot of puck injuries. Everyone's just so much bigger, so much faster, so much better prepared and conditioned, that the game just goes a lot faster. I think what you'll see them do is maybe, reinstitute a few rules that they had taken out to open the game up. So they might slow the game down. If they bring in a red line and eliminate a two-line pass, no longer do you have people flying through the middle of the ice the way that they are right now. It slows them down a little bit. So there's a lot. There's equipment, there's the rules, and there's the speed that comes with those rules. And altogether, though, hockey's never been played with more skill than it has right now.
And you can see it, because when you see on one of those channels where they show the old games from the 70s even, that really the game today does look so much faster, so much more elegant, really, even than, and it looks like the players are trying harder.
Okay, you know what?
Let
me ask you a question though. Okay, if you were watching a hockey game on TV, could you tell if it's males or females? Because the females are pretty darn good.
Yeah, I could tell.
Yeah, you can tell.
No, you can't.
Because they're not
two
skating
reasons.
as fast.
2 reasons. Females always wear full cages on their face. There's no visors or they just always do, and they're just smaller. You can tell if you have.
Plus, they have extra chest protection.
What if it's a midget male hockey team?
Well, then if it was a midget male hockey team and a women's team, then I would have a hard time telling them apart.
Okay, see, there you go.
There you go.
The chest protection. Well, I
Are
don't
we
know.
going to see any women in the NHL?
Yes.
Do you think?
Good question.
No.
Okay.
No, I think Haley Wickenheiser playing in the Swedish Elite League is about as high as he'll get.
Well, didn't she play
Swedish or
one game?
Finnish?
Wasn't there one game where she?
No, Manon Rayon, a
Oh,
goaltender
right.
from the Quebec Junior League, played for.
Tampa, was it?
Yeah, she's in an exhibition game.
Yeah.
And later, Phil Esposito, who owned the team, said he did it just as a publicity stunt, and it kind of upset some people. But
Oh yeah, that's.
Plus, you know what? They just can't afford to have a second change room.
That's right. That's the big problem. I know we had the same problem here at that channel. We still have that problem. That's where we all change in the same room. Right, Sandra?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Steve, okay. This is great. Now, where can people get their hands on the book?
it's at Chapters, Indigo, Coles across Canada, and you can get it at the Hockey Hall of Fame, of course, and you can get it online at Amazon, and basically where books are sold.
And that's it right there. The Hockey Hall of Fame Treasures, edited by Steve Cameron. But great thing to have on your coffee table.
Next best thing to being there.
Yep. And
Absolutely.
thanks, Steve. What are you working on now? What's the next thing?
We got two Hall of Fame books coming out for fall 2012. One will be on the 120th anniversary of the Stanley Cup, and so that's going to chronicle every winner of every Stanley Cup that there has been for the last 120 years. And then we've got one kind of a companion piece to this, which is going to be the Hockey Hall of Fame Book of Jerseys.
Oh,
It's
wow.
just going to be jerseys and, stories about the player, the jersey, the team, the era,
Boy.
and just some real nice personal stuff. And that'll be written by a guy out of Hamilton named Steve Milton, who's a great journalist.
You're going to have a whole chapter devoted to the Vancouver Canucks for that book.
Why? Because of all the elegant jerseys they
All
had?
those, and they still,
The new Canucks jersey's good. I like it.
okay.
Have you held the Stanley Cup?
Yes, I have.
Aha.
I've held the
Thought
Stanley
so.
Cup. I've held Wayne Gretzky's Brantford jersey that he wore when he was a 9-year-old. I've held
And
Sidney
could you
Crosby's
feel-
golden goal puck.
Okay, so did that feel amazing to you?
Yeah, to have a piece of history like that in your hand, it's pretty phenomenal.
I remember Gretzky when he was like, I heard about him when he was like 12 or 13. People
Yeah.
all over Ontario knew about this whiz kid.
Well, he scored over 300 points
Yeah.
in a season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Wow.
amazing. Now, Steve, do you have a website, or is there a website you want to give out where people?
Well, I have Firefly's website, which is fireflybooks.com.
The publisher.
You can see all of our titles there. We're, a large Canadian nonfiction publisher, so we'll do everything from how to build your own birch bark canoe to the pregnancy Bible to the Hockey Hall of Fame treasures. So, something for everybody at Firefly Books.
Great. Well, great to have you on the show. Thanks a lot. Good luck
Thanks
with
for
those
coming
two
by.
new books, and we'd love to have you back, and we can talk about those.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, Steve Cameron, and we're going to take a little break. Come
Okay.
back with Philip Ames as Liquid Lunch hits the home stretch. We'll be
Perfect.
right back.
In between is what I'm feeling. Neither here nor there you can see what's me. Either you have no chances to lose, or you'll never have the chances to win the prize. Rich as gold, you can't imagine the prize. Rich as gold, you can imagine. What's the meaning of your question? Had no reason to defend. What's your plan? Bring over the rules for your friends. If you think about next year, that time it'll all seem better. If you think about next year, that time it'll all seem better. Either you have no chances to win, or you never have the chances to lose. I took the bait, I sealed my fate, and now my mouth is bleeding from the hook. If you think about next year, in time it'll all seem better. If you think about next year, in time it'll all seem better. When you go away, when you go away.
Hi, I'm Philip Ames from Wayfinders. If you're feeling isolated and alone and unable to create the life and the dreams you have for yourself, I'm having a workshop this April 7th here in Toronto at the North York City Centre to help you change that and free yourself. Wayfinders is unique because it helps you to build a support community to do this. You don't have to do it alone. You can contact me at Philip Ames, PhilipAmes, at simpatico.ca, or call me at 416-200-4198. Thank you.
Okay. Welcome back to Liquid Lunch. We're here hitting the home stretch. We got Philip Ames here. Philip, great to have you on the show. Back
Thank
on
you.
the show. This
Yes.
is what, your second or
Second. Yeah.
Okay,
It was
great.
a few years ago. You changed the setup. But
Yeah. So great to have you back, and you're going to be giving a talk on isolation, right?
I guess that's one way to look at it. I was debating while I was sitting waiting whether I would talk about the trying to help people over the negative or talk about the positive. So mostly I'd want to talk about the positive. The work that I do is really, I'm a therapist, psychotherapist, and the work that I do is really divided between therapy and kind of coaching. I really want to take people to the positive side. And so basically what this workshop is about is there's a huge amount of isolation in our culture, so much so that people don't even question it. We don't even think about it. We're geared to think we've got to do it all ourselves somehow. And it doesn't have to be that way. There was a book written by the Dalai Lama and an American psychiatrist, Howard Cutler, where Cutler asked the Dalai Lama, what do you think is the main problem in the West, Western civilization? And he didn't even hesitate. He said it's isolation, lack of community. And this has always been a hot button for me, and I was really excited to see that. So the work that I do basically helps people set up community for themselves, set up links and networks, people that care, more than just a mastermind group, but to help build their way out of feeling isolated and get on with their dreams, get on with the goals and the excitement that they've got.
In the context of a community of some sort, right?
Yeah, there's things that I supply, and then also it's basically to teach them and give them the experience of the principles, help them break through. Many people can't handle being too close. So it's to help them heal that, and then teach them the principles to help them find links. Find the people that want to help them. There's people that want to help people all the time. And that's really exciting, is to help get them together.
That's really interesting. I was just thinking about, I don't know where I got this idea, but people were talking about, when the power went out. Remember we had the blackout a few years ago?
Which one? I remember several.
August 14th, I think it was.
Well, that big one.
In August.
That was out for over a day. The big one a few years ago.
Yes. Yeah.
All over North America.
Yes.
And it was like, all of a sudden, it's like that sense of isolation almost seemed to disappear. And people started talking to their neighbors. The lights were out. People would come out of their homes and meet the person across the street for the first time. They were just zoned in, plugged into their appliances,
That's
their
right.
computers, their TVs, and all that kind of stuff.
I think it snapped people out of the way they're used to being. And if you go to small towns or small cities, I was just on holiday down in Fort Lauderdale. It's a big city, but the section I was in, everybody was on holiday, so they're all saying hi to each other.
Yeah.
Whereas back home in their ordinary city, they probably wouldn't. It's really incredible when you think about it. You look at an apartment building, all of these boxes, and nobody knows anybody else.
Yeah.
And it shrank down, like, I'm a little older than you are, but it shrank. Matter of fact, today's my birthday. I'm 64
Happy
today.
birthday!
Yeah. 64 is the new 32.
64. It's the new 32, right.
Oh, wow.
So
I didn't think
I
it was
remember.
that much. And you don't look a day over 30.
Exactly.
Until I look in the mirror. The body just isn't quite as willing
Take
as it
off
was.
the glasses and it's good.
He's got
I don't have them on.
Well,
That's the scary thing. You thought I had them on. So.
You got to put yours on, Sandra.
But, we may have heard stories, say the 30s, the 40s, where people lived in neighborhoods and knew a lot of their neighbors, that kind of thing. But it's gradually been breaking down, I think, in a lot of ways. So that we ended up, like when I was a kid, before your time, in the 50s, we were down to the nuclear family. And that's a phrase everybody knows.
Yeah.
Mother and father, a couple of kids, and they're trying to do it all themselves. And if they're lucky, their family lives in the neighborhood. If they're lucky, they know some of the neighbors. But now it's becoming increasingly like a one-parent family, and it's usually a woman who's who's struggling her butt off to try to make it go and handle everything. And it's extremely painful. It weighs people down, and they can't be creative because they're so busy trying to survive. So this has always bugged me. I was really lucky because when I first got help back in the 70s, I was in a therapeutic community here in Toronto, which I've since found out was perhaps the largest commune in North America, called Therafields in those days. And it was not perfect, but by God, it was wonderful. I got a lot of help. I could step out on the street in the annex here in Toronto, look up and down the street, and there'd be 200 people I knew. There were 6 or 8 houses that we had purchased all from our own money.
Those were the good old days.
Well,
long gone.
when you combine your resources,
Yeah.
you can do anything. That's the thing, is these people are so used to thinking, I can't start this business, I can't do that, I can't do this, because they're thinking of the resources they have. But I've really been enjoying, as I got back into private practice and started to commit to this thing that I've always wanted to do. Go for your dream, right? Scariest thing you can do, almost. But I've really been excited about, I think about it as win-win. When I'm looking to get somebody to help me out, I'm looking to see how it can help them.
Just
And-
like our other guest, Captain Revenue, was talking about earlier. It's about helping people, right?
The more, yeah, if you put your attention, like, there's a fellow that's helping me a lot with the internet right now. He's a client. Now, he's insisted to me, he said, look, I do this anyway because you're always there when I need you. But the thing is, he's wanting to develop his own skills about the internet. So as he helps me, he's learning. I don't have to be an expert at everything.
Yeah.
And I find I get a lot of satisfaction whenever I'm having contact with people and I'm looking for help, because I am all the time. Because there's so many things I don't know how to do, like the website I'm building right now. I look to see, well, what can I do for that person? How can I help them out? And I really think that if people put energy into that kind of thing, it's so amazing. You can find help. If you want to build something, you want to do something, there's mentorship. People that have done it that love to share. You know, they'd love to be able to tell you how they did it. So basically what I'm doing is helping people who have had to struggle. They're either ordinary folks or people who've been really psychologically injured as kids. Get help to heal that, but then to move on and help them, teach them and share with them how to find links, how to make connections with people, how to set up
You
sort of
mean
like a
human
family of
links?
trust.
Links, like we're not talking
Yeah.
computer links.
No,
right?
human
We're
links,
talking-
because they're the most important.
So it's like a
Computer ones
human
will come
Facebook.
afterwards.
What?
It's like a human Facebook.
Yeah. Or
Except that so many people are figuring Facebook's a life these days, and it's not.
no.
Most people can't handle actually real deep intimacy. They can't cope with it. You put a bunch of people together in the kind of houses I used to live in, they'll go nuts because they can't cope. They don't understand what's coming up. They don't understand the tension and the stress that's coming up with trying to be connected closely to somebody.
Because everybody's pushing everybody's buttons, right?
You got
Is
it.
that
And they don't understand that they're doing it. So that's what the kind of training and work that I do is where it's necessary, is help people understand the kind of things they're really coping with. I said the second hardest job you can do is building a business. The hardest is being married, as far as I'm concerned, because people just haven't got a clue. When they're in the bedroom, there's at least 6 people there. There's the 2 of you and your parents. And everything that hasn't been resolved is going to get projected onto the spouse. And
That's a whole nother discussion.
that's a whole other discussion, but that's the
Wow.
kind of things where appropriate. I want to help people be effective with their lives. That's what's so exciting. It is so much fun to watch people put together a project. Like I would have liked to have been around when you started doing this show. Just see, what did you go through? How did it happen? You know, what are the success stories? All that kind of stuff. So
That
when I
would
get
have been
going, I get excited.
I
That
say,
was
you know
a-
what? I see a book in the offing for you, where you start to interview a whole bunch of people and you know how they did get started and how
Get
they
their
made those-
stories.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, that could be very possible. And if it's inspirational for somebody, then fantastic.
But it seems like with this the workshop that it's in April that you're giving.
It's in
it,
April
right?
7th. It's going to be at the North York City Center, not the Civic Center, which is right beside it. It's the North York City Center, and you can enter directly from the North York Center subway. It's going to start about 8:30 in the morning. Come at 8:30. It'll go till I would say around 4 in the afternoon, with time for lunch and so on. And we're going to spend the time really to try to, as much as possible, put a spotlight on this isolation thing, because I think it needs a bit of focus, because I think so many people don't even know that it's
Well, this is
an
what
issue.
This is kind of what's occurring to me is that a lot of people that are watching this right now are probably not even aware that it's a problem. Like a fish that doesn't know that he's swimming around in water.
It's that common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so then who are the people that are going to get the most out of coming to this? Or what are some of the trigger points or some of the things that people might be experiencing that is a kind of a red flag that they should say, you know, I should really check out that workshop?
That's an interesting point. As a therapist, the thing is that usually people will do anything rather than come into therapy. They will climb mountains, they will fly off buildings, anything they can do to avoid facing the thing.
Well, Captain
Because
Revenue flew off a building this morning.
But it's because they're afraid. It's because the feelings come up and they know they couldn't handle it the first time. And they don't realize that's what's happening. It can be handled now. Anybody who is essentially right at the spectrum from people who are struggling with their lives and are stuck alone. It's not changing. There's a lot of pain, and the thing is not changing for them. Those people can come. People who really have dreams that they want to accomplish, but they're finding that they're stuck. It's not moving well enough the way it could. teaching people how to make the links with other people could very well help move that kind of thing forward. One of my biggest thrills is helping get people excited about their dreams and encourage it. You know, blow on the coal and help them decide to take the chance and move.
Mm-hmm.
That's really exciting stuff. So it's the whole spectrum. It's from people who feel they're broke,
Mm-hmm.
I mean emotionally broke, that life is painful and they want to get out of it. Instead of providing a place where they come for 1 hour a week, I'm on call. People have connection with me a whole lot more than that. And plus I set them up with other people that they build trust with that can help them. And right through to people who in many ways are very successful, but it's just not working well enough. And the idea is you can find other people who would be interested to help you. And especially if you're willing to help them. If you're willing to commit to helping other people, it's amazing how they'll want to help you.
Mm.
So is this possibly also a workshop to connect and maybe network a little bit too?
Sure, that'll be I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's an interesting point. I should make time for that during the workshop to happen, where people can introduce themselves and say hello.
To
That's a
actually
very good idea. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Because make it community in itself. Right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's about, as you said, it's really about creating a community around you, right?
That's right. Of like-minded folks, people you know. It's not about leaving your family, leaving those people, but it's about deliberately looking for people who have the kinds of values, the kinds of interests, the kinds of caring that you have, that when you're around them, you just feel like, I feel better.
Mm-hmm.
I feel more expansive.
Okay, I got to ask you, because sometimes, people aren't getting that in their families.
They aren't.
Right? Because
a
you
lot of
choose
times
your
that
friends, but you don't
happens.
choose
Yeah.
your family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Except on the psychic plane before you're born. Right?
So what to do about it?
What do you do about that? Or should people just
Change that psychic
find
plane
their
you were born
own
on.
social groups? I don't know.
Change that psychic plane you came in on.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting point. The real change happens in here. I was listening to the gentleman you had on earlier talking about Gandhi. Be the change you
Parth.
want to be.
Mm-hmm.
The community that I was in and originally trained in the 70s was very much a 60s, 70s kind of feeling of let's get away from all the insanity out there. Let's form the alternate. Let's leave our families, so to speak. It was never specifically said. But I don't believe in that. I believe in helping people develop connections, family of choice, to the level of connection they want. But I don't believe in walking away from your family. If you have to, if it's that massively dysfunctional, then you have to. But I would prefer to help people have the best connections they can have.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I found. Like I remember someone I'm very close to who in a group got some help to reconnect to their father, who she'd been pretty much like this with for many years. There was a connection that was the best he was able to do at that time. And that was wonderful before he passed, that this lady had that.
So she got closure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So then this workshop would also be good for, and not if you just have a dream in terms of what you want to do with your life, but also with your family.
Yes.
Too. This could be if you just want
That's
to,
right.
that
It's the
could
whole-
be your dream too.
It's the whole principle of healing, and my way of doing it is through community. I mean, I do individual work, of course, too. I don't just dump somebody into a community, but because they've got to build a sense of trust together with me and feel they can trust me. So I got to prove myself to them. But after that, I offer the option to start connecting to more people.
Mm-hmm.
Because just to have one person to come and see one time a week, or make a phone call to or something, that's helpful. But if you've got a bunch that care about you,
Mm-hmm.
and that you can call them if you need to, and you start
Are they
practicing,
mentors? Phil?
that happens spontaneously, but
Okay.
I'm just talking, for instance, in the see, it starts pretty much looking like a conventional therapy situation for many people, where they're coming for individual work and then groups and so on. But other people may come to me and really don't need to go back to that kind of basic reconstruction work.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're looking to make connections and community, build that principle for themselves of saying,
Okay.
I don't have to do this alone. I can get help. My dreams can move, But it's especially, I guess, obviously, because this is where I started, I really have a soft spot for the people who feel trapped and don't know how to do much of anything except try to survive,
Mm-hmm.
and help them move beyond that.
And there's a lot of people maybe that are feeling that these
A
days.
lot more than we realize, and it's getting worse. In
Yes.
some ways, it's
Yeah.
getting worse because the whole internet culture just feeds that. It doesn't actually breed real connection.
Yeah, it's that whole electric
Electronic.
soup we live
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
right, that's taking people away from that real community.
There's nothing that substitutes for a hug.
Yeah.
You know,
Sandra knows that.
it has its place. It has its place. The internet has its place. The internet has its place.
Yeah.
It's a valuable tool.
Yeah.
But I would far rather hug a person than a computer.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So
Wow.
for people that are interested in finding out more, or maybe they just want to register for the workshop, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, I'm going to suggest that for right now, try my website. We've almost got things together now. PhilipAmes.com. So it's real simple.
Philip-
PhilipAmes.com. I regret to say that it wasn't totally ready when I came in today. So
That's okay, but when people are watching this, on the internet in a
Try
couple
it.
of weeks,
Try
this
it.
is going to be it's
It'll
going to be up
there.
and it's going to be great.
It'll
So-
be there, and everything will be there to help you learn more about it and so on. But you can also simply email me, which is philipames@simpatico.ca. So Philip Ames, PhilipAmes, all one word, small case, @simpatico.ca.
And that's working now.
That's
so they can
working now.
contact you now.
Absolutely. So's my phone.
There you
416
go.
200 4198, and people are welcome to give me a call.
Great. Okay, Philip. Great to have this conversation
having me
here
Thank you
again.
today.
so
Nice to meet
much,
you
and
too.
good luck.
I'm feeling a little less isolated already. How about you, Sandra?
Absolutely.
And
I'm feeling the community.
And you're giving out free
Absolutely.
hugs
Big
as
all
soon
the
as we.
Okay, you show
break,
up on
right?
April 7th. You can get all the free hugs you like.
I hug everybody.
Okay. Philip, thanks for
Thank
doing
you.
this today. Sandra, thanks for
Thank you.
co-hosting. It was a lot
Awesome
of fun.
show. Awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you.
And we'll see everybody tomorrow at noon.
You could have sent him an email, for that.
Yeah,
You didn't
you-
have to do it in person.
Yeah, let's do that by email.
No, it's always better in person.
Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow noon for more right here.
Punching each button, readjusting the bottom line. Must be meaning something. Register it between the lines. I count the time. Tick tock, tick. Take me away from this song. I'd rather be just hanging in the sun. Take me away from these numbers and these phones. They keep calling me and complaining. That's what I'm supposed to be explaining. That it's solved. Punched in my number for the day. Not a word, but I'm gonna hear about it. It's 5:02 and it's still not the same. I lost having a life. I lost having a life. Tick tock. Take me away from this song. I'd rather be just hanging in the sun. Take me away from these numbers and these phones. They keep calling me and complaining. That's what I'm supposed to be explaining. That it's all. Walked into the elevator. Had no trip to take. I just had the carburetor. It's the thing that runs my car. As I'm driving along, not far. It's just a long way 'cause of the traffic and the smog that breathes elastic. And I can't drink the water 'cause it's leaded by a broken daydream. Broken daydream. Broken daydream. switch, a little swoon. You just jumped over the moon, but your paper trail fell through. Now it's all up to you to see this through. Pieces of heaven they escape you. You think that it's just the dead cold, but with your tragic look, you're not so bold to see challenge when you think you got it all worked out, 'cause you ain't got no time to waste. It's running high. A little cat, a little slow. You just don't wanna know that you never can be wrong, that you're all